Yesterday is not ours to recover, but tomorrow is ours to win or lose. Let's start some winning, shall we? There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to accept what is true. 5 deadly terms used by women. 1. Fine. This is the word women use to end an argument when she knows she is right and you need to shut up. 2. Nothing. Means something and you need to be worried. 3. Go ahead. This is a dare, not permission to do it. 4. Whatever. A woman's way of saying screw you. 5. That's okay. She is thinking long and hard on how and when you will pay for your mistake. Bonus word. Wow. This is not a compliment. She's amazed that one person could be so stupid. How did you vote? Asked Pooh. Conservative, Piglet replied. I voted Labour, said Pooh. Are we still friends? Asked Piglet. You voted to allow the Tories to destroy the National Health Service that looks after me, my family and my friends, when we are sick or injured. You voted for the people who have vowed to abolish the Human Rights Act. You voted to support the immoral persecution of sick and disabled people. Take a wild guess about how much of a friend I think you are now, you selfish, heartless waste of bacon. Prince Andrew's Close. This is not a road sign, it's a warning. A ship is designed to take you to places, yeah. So if your friendship, partnership, companionship or relationship isn't taking you anywhere, time to abandon ship. Can't remember being at this party. Breaking news. 2 Epstein prison guards scheduled to be suicided tomorrow. 2 correctional officers who were responsible for guarding Jeffrey Epstein when he killed himself, allegedly, in his New York jail cell, are scheduled to be suicided tomorrow in the same jail where Epstein was held. It's just a real shame that these prison guards who knew so much about the Epstein death were suddenly taken with the urge to kill themselves. Correctional warden Michael Pepperoni said on the forthcoming suicides, Epstein was in jail awaiting trial for running sex trafficking ring involving high-profile personalities including Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton. The officers of Epstein's unit at the federal jail were suspected of failing to check on him every half hour as required and of fabricating log entries to claim they had. We don't really have any leads to go on now that they are dead, so it's basically case closed. You can't stop with the Epstein didn't kill himself memes, Pepperoni said. Dawn raid to remove anti-fracking protesters from protest camp near Lancashire fracking drill site. Anti-fracking protesters camped off Preston New Road near Quadrilla's fracking site have been evicted. Specialist eviction experts, Able Enforcement from Bristol, said it had removed a dozen squatters from an anti-fracking protest camp on private land near Blackpool on Tuesday. Now you notice this wasn't the police, this was some hired, brought in, heavy-handed wankers to do the business. It said illegal trespass and fears of contamination of the land prompted a local business to call the firm to the site after the protesters repeatedly refused to leave. A team of more than 30 officers from Able Enforcement's private bailiffs, security guards and dog handlers joined the specialist group International Specialists in removing protesters from trees to execute the eviction at daybreak. The action was undertaken following consultation with Lancashire Constabulary, another bunch of Freemason wankers, without the need for a court order by using common law rights to remove trespass from private land. Police were in attendance throughout the eviction. Now you'll notice, when it suits them, they use common law, but you try and use it, oh no, that's bullshit, that doesn't work. Operation Blackpool took place at the so-called Camp of New Hope, private land in a small copse of Preston New Road and around a mile from Quadrilla's nearby fracking site. The government recently announced a moratorium of fracking until or unless the activity is proven safe. Steve Wood, Operations Director to Able Enforcement, said this was a challenging job and a complicated site. These squatters have been here for more than 3 years. We're well entrenched and are experienced protesters. Fortunately, we've met most of these individuals before. We see them same people at jobs all over the country, so we knew what to expect in terms of aggression, abuse and violence, which all came from Able Enforcement, of course. Child murder, torture and sexual abuse by British troops covered up by government, report alleges. The government and army have been accused of covering up torture, sexual abuse and child killing by troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. A year-long investigation by BBC Panorama and the Sunday Times is claimed to have uncovered evidence of murder by an SAS soldier, as well as deaths in custody, beatings, torture, sexual abuse and detainees by members of the Scottish Regiment of Black Watch. A senior SAS commander was also referred to prosecutors for attempting to pervert the course of justice, according to leaked documents that had been kept secret by the government. The investigation exposed new evidence from inside the Iraq Historic Allegations Team, IHAT, which investigated alleged war crimes committed by British soldiers in Iraq, and Operation Northmoor, which looked into war crimes in Afghanistan. The government closed both inquiries in 2017 after Phil Shiner, a solicitor who had taken more than 1,000 cases to IHAT, was struck off from practicing law amid allegations he had paid people in Iraq to find clients. However, some former investigators said Mr. Shiner's actions were used as an excuse to shut down the inquiry, and I strongly suspect that's the true case. Child poverty in working households has rocketed by 800,000 since 2010. 18th November 2019. The number of children from working households growing up in poverty has risen by 38% over the last decade. Politicians must act to reverse this shameful trend. Well, in actual fact, we don't need the politicians to do it. We need them locking up, because they're the ones that's caused it in the first place. TUC analysis shows child poverty in working households has risen by 800,000 since 2010, a massive 38% increase. It means there are now 2.9 million children in poverty in working households. In 2010, around 1 in 5 working households had children growing up in poverty. In 2018, this had increased to around 1 in 4. London has seen the largest increase in child poverty in working households, with a 68% rise across the period, leaving a third of children with at least one parent in work locked in poverty. What's behind the rise? Our new analysis also shows that government policy accounts for most of the rise in child poverty. More than 485,000 children, over 6% in working households, have been pushed below the breadline as a direct result of the government's in-work benefits cuts. There you go, in black and white, it's the government. No matter what happens anyway, it's always the government, or more precisely, those that control the government. Help take down Monsanto by boycotting these foods. The Great Boycott, Monsanto and the GMO. Natural News. You've probably heard of Monsanto, the largest producer of genetically engineered seeds in the world, accounting for 90% of the seeds planetary globally planted globally. The US-based agricultural biotech Evil Company is also the leading producer of Roundup, a controversial herbicide that contains glyphosate. It's not controversial, it's a poison designed to poison us. Monsanto creates GE seeds that are resistant to herbicides, in particular Roundup. Meanwhile, Roundup kills everything except the GE crop that can withstand it. When these GE crops are harvested, they contain extremely high levels of glyphosate, which the World Health Organization recently admitted is a probable carcinogen. How many products are Monsanto's? You may well be surprised when you realise just how many of your day-to-day goods use Monsanto products in their manufacturing process. If you're interested in avoiding GE foods or just want to avoid putting your hard-earned cash into Monsanto's pocket, here are some of brands to boycott. Coca-Cola and all its varieties: Coca-Cola Light, Cherry Coke, Minute Maid, Burn, Dr Pepper and Fanta. Cadbury, Campbell, Liebig and Royco soups. Capri Sun, General Mills producing including Green Giant, Haagen-Dazs, Yoplait yogurt and Old El Paso fajitas. Heinz. These are all Illuminati companies, by the way. Kellogg's, including cornflakes, Special K, Trezzo, Meal Pops, Cocoa Pops, Frosties, Extra and All Bran. Knorr broths, soups and sauces. Kraft, Philip Morris and associated brands including Maxwell Coffee, Philadelphia Cream Cheese, Lou Cookies, Milka Oreo and Toblerone. Lipton Teas, Ocean Spray, Pepperidge Farm Cookies, Pepsi and Pepsi Cola brands including Tropicana, Alval, Gatorade, 7-Up, Lipton Iced Tea, Lay's, Doritos, Ruffles, Tostitos and Quakers. Pringles, Schweppes, Uncle Ben's. By avoiding these and other Monsanto related brands, you'll be diverting your cash away from the corporate giant and doing your bit to fight against the production of GE foods and glyphosate herbicides. Meanwhile, by sharing knowledge and information about Monsanto products, you are encouraging others to make informed decisions about what products are ethically sound. Cancer charity hires fake news nurse to warn patients of bogus cures. The charity said it was acting to try to help patients make sense of fake news and horror stories. Yeah, bullshit. A leading cancer charity has hired a fake news nurse amid fears sufferers are being duped by quack cures, or what they mean is natural cures that really work, unlike these wankers who, if they were actually looking for cures, would be looking to put themselves out of business. Can you imagine that? Macmillan Cancer Support has hired a digital nurse specialist amid concern that patients are increasingly turned to websites promoting bogus cures and false information, when the only real bogus cures are the ones offered by the establishment, who are the real criminals. Some sites have claimed baking soda can cure breast cancer, with others frightening patients off treatment by claiming chemotherapy kills more people than cancer. Well, it does, because it has over a 97% failure rate. I'd say that was pretty statistical for them. New role will be solely dedicated to answering questions from people affected by cancer online on Macmillan's social media platform and online forums. Professor Jane Maher, the charity's chief joint medical officer, said it's completely natural for people to want to Google their diagnosis when they're told they have cancer. But with countless unverified statistics, that what they mean by unverified, it means that they won't peer review them, because they'll have to say, well, actually we've got loads of cures for cancer, and then we all lose our money. Fake news and horror stories on the internet ending up on the wrong website can be really worrying. This can leave people pinning their hopes on a dangerous bogus cure or underestimating the benefit of routine treatment, she said. The 5 red flags to never ignore. Any sudden weight loss when not dieting. Blood in your feces or urine. Coughing up blood. A lump on the breast, groin, testicle, side or the neck or armpit. Severe unexplained pains and aches. At the end of the day, they're there to make money, whereas those that are talking about the real cures, the natural cures, including of course cannabis oil, are there for your benefit, because they got nothing. They're not going to make anything out of it. You've got to source it yourself. So who are the real fake news ones? The cancer industry. Man believed to be rough sleeper dies after being found in alleyway next to the Hilton Hotel in Nottingham. A police cordon remains at the scene. This was dated the 19th, so yesterday. Police cordon outside the Hilton Hotel, Milton Street, Nottingham City Centre, near Vicky Centre, that is, Victoria Centre. A man who is believed to have been rough sleeping has died after being found in an alleyway next to the Hilton Hotel in Nottingham City Centre. Police officers were called to assist paramedics from East Midlands Ambulance Service at around 8:20 a.m. on Tuesday, November 19th, after a man collapsed. The man was rushed to the Queen's Medical Centre for treatment but was later pronounced dead. A cordon remains at the scene just off Milton Street. A Nottinghamshire police spokesman added, officers believe his death isn't suspicious. His cause of death hasn't been established. But we all know who's to blame. The council and the government. Daily Fail. The pariah prince. He's dumped by more top firms, accused of racism by ex-minister, has to cancel trip to flood victims. Royal in court continued. Yeah, right. Laughable, Mr. Corbyn. In bruising first TV debate, he refuses 9 times to say if he'd back a Brexit deal, to mocking derision of studio audience. No, because he's a Remainer. And don't forget, neither of these are there for us. They're all for their bosses who tell them what's really going on and what they're going to do. The Guardian. Leaders stake their ground. Johnson, Brexit, Corbyn, NHS. Well, that's a waste of time then, isn't it? Aye. Insults fly at leaders' TV debate. I'll come back to that. Prince feels the heat. Bank pulls out of Duke's scheme. Ministers knew Bolton cladding was dangerous. Unsettling the West Bank. Trump delights pro-Israel voters but may cause long-term harm. That shows you that he's bought and paid for by Israel. That's the way to do it. Mia Walkowska on playing Judy, a puppeteer heroine. Right, back to the supposedly main headline, but it's all bullshit and smoke and mirrors and look over here instead of what's really going on. Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn made a shake hands at historic head-to-head but reverted to attack lines on Brexit and NHS. Snap poll after ITV showdown suggests that it was an evenly matched between the two men with no killer blows landed. That's because they both work for the same one above them. There is no difference. They might pretend to be on different sides, but they're all on the same side. And again, that's evidenced in the Michael Tazarian, the destruction of Atlantis. It makes all this perfect sense. You see, that's how they got away with it for so long. You think that different countries are there for their own countries, and they pretend to be, but when it comes down to it, they're all in the same club, every single one of them. Lib Dem and SNP leaders shut out of debate, brand their exclusion and outrage, and accuse Prime Minister of running scared. Greens target another seat. Changing habits of a lifetime. Lib Dem extend pupil support. The Times. Neck and neck after TV clash. Snap poll hands Johnson 51-49. Win in first election debate. Corbyn fails to explain Brexit stance but pushes PM close. So this is identical to the supposed referendum where it was 48-52 to 52 to leave, 48 to remain. It was never like, it was much higher, but they fixed it so they can have all this. Because if they can keep us at each other's throat, we're not seeing the real dangers. These evil politicians who are controlled puppets. Labour tax plans could cost 1 billion. Who to? Hey? Not to us. TSB fraud exposure. You mean a bank committing fraud? Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Old age starts at 70. Old age starts when you feel you're old, that's it. If you don't feel you're old. That's why some live for a long age and some die young, because they've given up. 2 million raid on home. Hong Kong legal row. Grenfell data refusal. Something to hide there, have they? Of course they have. Pochettino sacked. Express. Queen misses steady hand of Philip in royal crisis. 4 die in Arctic blast. Boris attacks Labour leader for absurd dither and delay in TV debates. Corbyn dodges Brexit questions 9 times because he's a Remainer. You see, and don't believe for a second that Johnson's a leaver. He's doing this right. They're causing divide and conquer because that's all they've ever done, and that's always the plan. Split them up, get them arguing with each other. They won't be paying attention to what we're really doing, which is trying to destroy humanity. Telegraph. British Hong Kong consul worker tortured by Chinese authorities. Corbyn jeered over Brexit. Yeah, because we've all had enough. The vote was to leave, and this puppet act that's going off here, everyone's had enough at. We need to get rid of them all. Audience laughs at Labour's second referendum plan as poll declares Johnson winner of television debate. Winner? There are no winners. They win. We don't win anything. It's just these. Hotelier treated husband like a slave. UK terror threat, the worst in Europe. Well, because we've got the most terrorist government in Europe. TSB condemns harsh report into IT fiasco. Pochettino gets the sack from Spurs. Mirror. Dalai Lama backs our Mirror Tree campaign. I'm sure they just make shit up. Forest is made a laughing stock. One plays it this way, one plays it that way, because they're aiming for the different portions. Those that are Labour and those that are Conservative. When in actual fact, they're both parts of the same bleeding control grid. Andrew, cop's notebook held key evidence. Calls for Met Police to hand over protection officer's log on Duke's movements. What, to see if he was really at the Pizza Hut? That's made him look even more stupid and a bigger lie than we already know he is. The scum. Bojo bashes Brex Bodger. Sex scandal turns toxic. Andy cancels first public visit. Plug pulled by 5 big backers. Poison Prince. Or should that be Pedo Prince? Yeah, I'll go with that one. Amelia, I was guilt-tripped into nude scenes. Metro. Johnson versus Corbyn. No, they're both part. They're just 2 wings, 2 separate wings of the same frigging animal. Worst NHS maternity scandal ever. Babies and mums died and toxic culture at NHS Trust. Warning signs ignored by rude and complacent staff. Inquiry into 23 cases now examining 270 over 40 years. Utter waste of paper. Fan Dabby Dozy. Legend Christopher Biggins blames PC nuts for ending Cranky's panto career. FT. Israel jubilant at US shift on West Bank. That just tells you who controls the US, which we've always known it's been Israel. Johnson survived hazardous duel with Corbyn in first TV debate. Snap poll suggests narrow win for Tory PM. Labour leader hits mark on health service. SoftBank in talks to buy KPMG private club where clients' perks drew scrutiny. Well, if this was allowed, it'd be the best Christmas present for anyone who is really sick or with cancer. Truth, it saves lives, but our lovely government don't want you to know that. 9 out of 10 anything that is illegal is possibly for a reason, and that reason is because it saves lives and farmer cannot profit. If these two had a kid, you know it's nearly Christmas when you spot your first robin in a tree. I visited a monastery, and as I walked past the kitchen I saw a man frying chips. I asked him, "Are you the friar?" He replied, "No, I'm the chipmunk."